Hey guys, what's up? It's Alec Torelli. Welcome back to an episode of The Hand of the Day, brought to you from the Wynn Macau.
Hand of the Day.
Today's hand comes from the 300-600 no limit hold'em game I was playing in, and I found myself in a really interesting spot in this hand. And before we get into it, I'd like you guys to think about what you would have done as me on the river in this hand. Before you hear the results, I want you to think about what you would have done to objectively analyze this hand. And most importantly, I'd like to hear your thoughts in a comment below, so be sure to leave them so I can get your feedback. This hand kicks off with 300-600 blinds. I open to 1500 in mid position with 9-10 of hearts. I get a call to my left, a call from a pro in the cutoff, and the button, who's the VIP, who'd been playing pretty aggressive and 3-betting often, makes it 6,500. Folds back around to me, and I opt to call here. Now, 9-10 of hearts could go either way. It could be a call, could be a fold, but I opt to call because we're playing deep stacked, and I'm playing against a player who I think I have a post-flop edge over, and I'm really confident in my post-flop game, and I like to play a lot of hands. If I'm going to be opening a hand like this from mid-position or early position as a bluff, I think it makes sense to defend this hand because it's a good hand that's deceptive and plays well post-flop, and I need to have some bluffs in my range in certain spots post-flop, and this is one of them that I want to put in there. Player to my left folds, and the pro calls, and we go three ways to the flop. The flop comes king, queen, 3 with 1 heart. I check, pro checks, and now the button checks. Now in this spot, I'm putting the button on a pretty weak hand here. If he had anything strong, I think 3 ways, he's almost always going to bet this flop. Sure, some of the time he's going to check back a set of kings for deception and to try and get value later, but that's a very small fraction of the time. That does not outweigh the vast majority of the time that he has an air hand, something like at the strongest, something like a mid-strength hand like a queen, or just complete air and not wanting to c-bet the flop 3 ways. This is important because it'll come into our play on the turn. The turn comes with 7 of hearts, and here I pick up quite a bit of equity. Now it's important to think about what types of hands that I could represent by betting on this turn. I raised pre-flop and called a 3-bet. I could definitely have pocket queens, I could have king-queen suited, I could have ace-king, and I could have a set of 7s. I can also have some bluffs, but I don't have that many bluffs. My offsuit hands are going to fold, and I could easily have something like king-jack suited, maybe king-10 suited as well, maybe deciding to even bet something like ace-queen here on the turn. So my value range is strong, my bluffs are very few, and my hand range is the strongest at this point in the hand when I decide to bet. So this is a great spot for me to bet. I also have a decent amount of equity. I could win with any jack or any heart. This is a great hands down slam dunk betting spot for me. I bet 2/3 of the pot. I think, so the pot is like 20,000. I bet like 12 or 13,000 at this point. And the pro calls and the button folds. Now at this point, I'm already using what's called a hand range funnel, which is the thought process I use in every hand of poker that I play to put my opponent on a range. He called my original raise preflop, and he called a 3-bet preflop as well. That means he has a hand that plays well in a multi-way pot. His cards are probably suited because he's a pro, or he has something like a mid pair. Now in this spot, I'm putting him on something like a queen or a weak king. He probably doesn't have ace-king, he would have 3-bet that preflop, and maybe he has something like ace-queen or king-jack or king-10 suited. That's the most likely hand he has. Sets are rare, he didn't raise the turn. He could maybe have 7s, maybe have 3s, but much more of the time there's far more combinations of queen X and king X than there are of sets. I block a lot of the draws, so it's unlikely he has a draw. Maybe he's peeling the turn with ace-jack or ace-10 of hearts, maybe some of the time, or not ace-10 of hearts, obviously I have the 10 of hearts, maybe ace-jack of hearts, but again, there's only one combo of that. Far more likely that he has a king or a jack. So this is the process that I use to eliminate his holdings, and this is really important because it's going to come into our play on the river. The river comes an offsuit ace. Now before we get into the analysis, I want you to think about what you would do here. A good question to ask yourself is, whose range does the ace favor? Whose hand is this card better for? Is it more likely that I have an ace as the original preflop raiser, or is it more likely that he has an ace as the original preflop caller? Whose range is stronger at this situation, in this point in the hand? Those things should give you clues into what you should do. If your range is stronger and there are more aces in your range, you should bet in this spot. So what would you have done? I'd love to hear your thoughts in a comment. In this spot, I opted to bet, and I bet 28,000 because in this spot, I believe that there are more aces in my range. I could also have a lot of strong hands. Again, I could have ace-queen a lot easier than he can. I could have ace-king. I can have jack-10 for a straight easier than he can. And yeah, I think sets are about even, but there are much more value hands in my range than there are his hands. And most importantly, I am pretty much never bluffing here. I mean, what bluffs can I have? I raised pre-flop, I called a 3-bet, and I bet the turn and bet the river. The only bluffs I have are hearts, and the 7 of hearts is on the board, and the king of hearts is on the board. So the only heart bluffs I have are queen jack of hearts, queen 10 of hearts, and 9-10 of hearts. So I basically have 3 bluffs. I have all the value combos. If you're not gonna bet this hand, then you're crazy. You have to bet when you only have 3 bluffs, because otherwise you're not bluffing often enough. So in this spot, I opt to bet the river 28,000, and he calls with a set of 3s, and I lose. So I still think I made the right play, even though I lost the hand, but I'd love to hear from you guys. How would you have played it? What would you have done? Did I make the right play here? Let me know your thoughts in a comment below. And if you'd like access to the hand reading system that I talked about, the funnel process that I talked about to systematically eliminate what my opponents have and put them on a hand range, you could download that for absolutely free at consciouspoker.com, or simply click the link below. Subscribe to my channel because there's more awesome content coming your way from the high stakes poker games in Macau, and I'll see you guys next time on the Hand of the Day. Cheers.